Hi there, interghost here, and today I'm going to do a new style of video. Not one I don't think I've ever done before, but I'm going to do a book review. The reason being is recently I've got really into Stephen King books. If you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you would have seen that I've picked up loads and loads of Stephen King books over the last sort of 2 months actually, and I'm trying to collect them all up. I think there's sort of about 70 to 80 books. And as you can see, I've got a whole shelf behind me there, one there, more over there, and there's more behind the old Proton pack over there as well. Basically, I've never read a Stephen King book before, even though I do sort of enjoy horror books and fantasy books. The reason being is that I've always been told that Stephen King, although he is a good writer, he can never finish a book properly, and the endings are always not very good. And that's really put me off reading his books, because some of his books are pretty large, like this one I've just read. And do you really want to read hundreds of pages of a story just to have the ending ruined? So yeah, that's why I never ventured into reading his books. However, a few months back I was in a charity shop and I found, it's just up there actually, The Shining, and I think it was like 50p or £1 or something like that, and I thought, right, I'm going to give it a go. It's not a very big book and I'll see what all the hype is about. So I read The Shining, and for me it's a 5 out of 5 book. It's really well written. I won't go into it because it's not about that today. And then I went straight on to reading Doctor Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining, and again that was a 4.5, 5 out of 5 book. So I thought, what would be the next Stephen King book I'd like to read? And one of his most famous books is this one, and it's It. Now everybody will know what It is all about. You've probably seen the TV version or the new movie version of the story, with Pennywise the clown in the sewers coming up, killing the main character's younger brother at the beginning, and then a friend group forming and they battle the evil, which is It, which lives underneath the town of Derry, Maine in America. So I thought, yeah, it's a huge book, but everyone seems to love it, and I thought if I give this one a go and this one is good, then I will start reading some of the others. And as you can see, I got about halfway through this book, so this took me about 2 months to read, in the evenings, not all day, but it took me about 2 months to finally finish this book. But halfway in, about a month into the book, I was loving it that much that I just went down the Stephen King rabbit hole, and I was just buying books left, right and centre whenever I could find them for cheap. So I've been finding all these books on Facebook Marketplace or in charity shops, so they all cost sort of between 50p and probably the most is about £2 or £3, so they're really cheap to pick up, and I'm hoping that they're going to be just as good as this one. I will say this video will contain spoilers, so if you are thinking about reading the book and you don't want to know what happens, then I probably wouldn't watch this until you've actually read the book. Saying that, I'm going to go into it and just tell you what I think about it, and there are spoilers. Now, first thing I'd like to say is this is quite a bit different to the movies, although the movie did a really good job, I think, of getting a lot of the details from this book and putting it into the film. Like I said, it's, what is it, like 1,200 pages long, and it's quite small text as well, so it's going to take you a while. But yeah, they got a lot of the main parts of this story right in the film, although they did change a few bits, which I can understand why. I like the way in this book that, although it focuses on Pennywise the clown, to me, I don't think it really shows the main It as the clown. They do refer to him as a clown in the book, and they always, whenever he appears to the children or the adults, he comes in another form of their worst fears. So you don't really see him very much as the clown, although when he does appear to people, he has sort of the orange pom-poms or buttons on his top, and he wears like a silvery suit. So all the creatures have something to do with like the orange or the silver. There are balloons in the book, but they're not red balloons, they're just multicolored balloons, or they have a lot of writing on them. They have like messages which he wants to give to people and then they pop. So yeah, the balloons are in there, but the classic well-known red balloon isn't really in the book. Like I said, I did like the way that the creature appears in lots of different forms in this rather than just a clown. He appears as a mummy, a werewolf, which isn't in the film at all and is in the book quite a lot. The werewolf comes back 3 times, I think. A giant bird, a huge eyeball with tentacles on it. It comes back as lots of different dead people, like Georgie, Bill's younger brother, but also like the dead bullies and that sort of thing. The whole thing with the bullies is a lot more explained in the book. It goes a lot more into the bullies' backgrounds and why they're doing what they're doing and why they're so horrible. And they're a lot more horrible in the book than they are in the film. They sort of are literally trying to kill the kids in the book, and they almost do on a couple of occasions. And there's some quite sort of violent fights between the two groups of children. There's a lot more sort of sex in the book. There's one scene right near the end of the story which a lot of people seem to bring up in their reviews, and I agree, it's not really needed. It's only 1 chapter long and it's right near the end, because at the end it keeps switching between the young group and the old group. They keep switching between them both, and after the young group has defeated it, they get lost in the sewers and they can't find their way out, and it's pitch black. And one of the children has like this sense of they know which way to go, and he loses all sense of direction, and they're afraid that they're going to die down in the sewers. Yeah, so Beverly, who's the only female in the group, suggests that all the boys then have sex with her to connect them all as one, and then they'll be able to get their sort of power back. And considering in the book that they are aged about, I think they're 11 and 12, that sort of age, and they all take it in turns one by one to have sex with Beverly in the book. And then all of a sudden the boys know which way to go and they get back out of the sewers, which is all a bit odd. Doesn't really need to be in there. It's sort of very descriptive on how they have sex with her, and it just all feels a little bit awkward, and they don't talk about it afterwards, so it's sort of like stuck in there for 1 chapter and then they continue with the story. So I agree with most people. I don't understand why that bit's in there. It's not really needed. It is a little bit weird and gross, but it doesn't ruin the story, it doesn't ruin the book as a whole. And yeah, so the book is very long. There is a lot of character development in this book. That's what most of this is about. It just goes into a lot of detail about every single character, the main ones and some of the side ones, which I thought was really good. A lot of people say this book's too long, too slow. I thought it was fine. I didn't feel that it dragged in any way. The only chapters I sort of didn't like were the ones where it went into the history of the town, because basically they're saying that it is the town, so when it gets destroyed then the town gets destroyed as well. All that sort of stuff was a little bit boring, but anything about the characters or the plot was really good. It does go a little bit strange near the end. It feels like it rushes at the end. They sort of have their battle and it keeps flicking between the older group and the younger group, both fighting it, and they manage to defeat it, but then it sort of goes off on a sort of a side story where the boys, a couple of the boys get pulled away into like the universe, and you find out that it is this sort of like big evil, and all the way through they keep hinting at this turtle, which is meant to be, I think, sort of like the good to Pennywise or it. It's like the yin yang thing. It's so that the turtle is the creator of the universe and the good force which is leading the group. Something about him being sick and he pukes up the universe, and yeah, so it all goes a little bit strange with that. I'm not quite sure I like that bit, but again, doesn't ruin it. I really like the idea that it is a female in the book. They don't do that in the movies, and it goes all a little bit sort of Aliens at the end, where she has a egg sac underneath her, and then there's all these different eggs in her lair, and one of the boys has to go round in the dark crushing all these eggs and stamping on the like spider things that crawl out of the eggs, which also makes me think, did he get them all? Because he sort of says, I think I got them all, I hope I did, which could lead to a sequel, because you know, if they left one of those eggs under the town, it could grow into another it. So that was all very cool to read. I like the way that the book also links to other stories. Like I said, it is a spoiler, but they do have the I can't remember what his name is now, the guy who is the chef in The Shining. Is it Dick Hanron or something like that? I'll put the name on the screen. But yeah, so it's the guy with shine, who works in the hotel in The Shining. He is actually in the history part of it, where a all black nightclub gets burnt down, and then he uses the shine to help these people out of the club through a window. So that was really cool. And I sort of I think I heard somebody else say this on a video. It makes you think, does the Losers Club, the group of kids, also have the shine, and that's why they are able to defeat the it, because they sort of all know what each other's thinking, and they all have like ways of feeling what each other are feeling, and they all have that sort of connection, and they know that bad things are going to happen and that sort of thing. So that makes me feel like it's very much like The Shining. Like I said, I read that one before this, so maybe it's just because I read The Shining and Doctor Sleep and then I went straight into this, that it made me feel like there was a link there, that the children in this book all had the sort of the shine as well. Let me know what you think about that, if you agree, or when you read it, if you thought the same thing. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want the video to go on and on and on. If you like this book review, then I will do more of Stephen King's books when I read them. I'm currently reading Carrie, which is one of his, I think it is his first novel he published. And it's a lot thinner and the text is a lot bigger, so I'll probably finish that in a couple of weeks. If you do like this one, I can do a review on The Shining and Doctor Sleep, and yeah, let me know. So thumb up the video, leave a comment below what you think of the video, and if you've read the book, what you thought of it. Yeah, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.